Foodborne illness as a threat to food service industry. Philippine foodborne disease outbreaks 2005 to 2018 as complied by Asanza et al. 2018 detailing 209 reported Philippine foodborne disease outbreaks for the period January 2005 to June 2018. So ano nga ba ang foodborne illness? Ito po yung sakit na makukuha mo through contaminated food or drinks. Knowing what can cause foodborne illness is the first step in preventing it. Meron tayong iba't ibang factor na nagkakos ng foodborne illness. Isa na dito ay ang mga poor personal hygiene. Dito, kadalasan nakukuha ang sakit dahil sa maruming hygiene. Siyempre, dapat lagi tayong malinis, especially sa ating mga katawan, dahil nasa food service industry tayo, na mga pagkain ang siniserve natin. So, dapat makikita rin mismo sa sarili natin yung kalinisan. Next is time temperature abuse. Ito po yung pinaka-common source ng foodborne illness dahil sa pagkain mismo ito nakukuha. Time abuse is nagre-refer siya sa mga bacteria na nag-grow sa foods katulad na lamang ng mga meats, fish, pork, poultry na naiwan sa 41 to 135 degree Fahrenheit room temperature. Next is cross-contamination. Nangyayari naman po ito kapag yung bacteria ay na-transfer from one another object to another. For example po is, nagsama yung raw food and cooked food. So yung bacteria po na galing sa raw food is maaaring matransfer sa cooked food. So dapat po is may proper place o lalagyan yung raw and cooked food. Pwede rin pong magkaroon ng color coding sa mga lalagyan. Like for example, red sa raw meat, blue sa raw fish, yellow sa cooked food, brown sa vegetables, and many more. So, common symptoms of foodborne illness or diseases are nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps, abdominal cramps.
Okay, sige, discuss natin yung factors that affects the foodborne illness or causes the foodborne illness. One is, tama siya, poor personal hygiene. Katulad ng sinabi ko sa inyo. Yung tipong hindi kayo maghuhugas ng kamay before you handle food. Example, from our viewers, give an example of poor personal hygiene. Okay, sige. Mr. Hernandez.
Long and dirty nails po.
Okay, yan. Yan, yung mga kuko natin. Meron ka na
Ano
na-research?
po?
Ano?
Di po. Yung avoid yung pagta-touch po ng mga parts po ng body natin. Like po sa mga po.
Okay, for example, nangati yung ilong mo.
Yan po.
Parang naghihiwa ka ng karne. Tapos nangati yung ilong mo, kinamot mo. Tapos, okay, hindi na makati. Oh. Hiwa ka na ulit. Yan, that's poor personal hygiene. Okay? So, may mga...
Ako pa, sir.
Sige. Before we read the answer of your classmates. Yes, Mrs. Laut.
Bad breath, sir.
Bad breath kasi hindi nag-toothbrush. Oh, that's correct. Okay.
Sir, ako po.
Yes, Miss Baldeo.
Yung sa hair po, kailangan po ng hairnet para hindi po mahalo sa pagkain.
That's correct. Okay. That's also a poor personal hygiene. Okay. Okay, let's read from your classmates. Merong sabi ni Loremas, long nails. Okay. Utensils, sir, na hindi malinis ng maayos. Okay, that's for the utensils, but we want to talk about the personal. Ibig sabihin yung food handler itself. Body odor because, tama, Miss Benitez, because finalo up ni Mr. Dick Ocampo, di naliligo. Ayan. Yung hindi nyo paliligo. Okay, that's poor personal hygiene. Okay? Especially as Filipinos, halos araw-araw, well, araw-araw dapat tayo naliligo. Okay? Pero, well, actually, scientifically or when dermatologist speaks, okay, it's not necessary, but since tayo mga Filipino and we are in the tropical country, okay, so mainit, maalinsangan ng ating panahon. So, usually, araw-araw tayo naliligo and that's been part of our personal hygiene every day. Alright? Long nails, alright? Body odor kasi nga hindi naligo, pawis sir, well, it's natural na pagpawisan ka, pero alam mo yon, make sure that before you go to work, okay, naligo ka, nagpalit ka ng iyong mga damit. Okay? Katulad ng sinabi ni Miss Abuliba or ni Miss Paragas na yung damit natin kailangan fresh palagi, I mean bagong laba bago tayo pumunta sa ating workplace. Okay? Not wearing hairnet, okay? Now, Mr. Penunya, when cooking, number one standards yan na nahihingin sa inyo when you are entering the kitchen, okay? Especially sa inyong mga cooking lessons, okay? Sa culinary lessons nyo, okay? Kailangan pag magpe-prepare kayo ng food, ay dapat meron kayong suot-suot na hairnet. Alright? What else? Wounds, yan. Also yan. Kasama din yan, once you have cut skin, okay, or wounds, okay, hindi ka pwedeng maghawak ng food. All right? Not wearing jewelry on hands. Okay, yung mga singsing. Yan. Bawal din 'yan kasi for example, may mga diamonds ang singsing mo. Tapos na damage, tapos nahulog sa pagkain. That can cause also foodborne illness. All right? Coughing and sneezing, okay, the proper way of coughing and sneezing whenever you are in the food area or food preparation area. Okay, that's also one for personal hygiene. Okay, saliva din sir. Okay, that's why kailangan meron tayong yung pansalo ng laway sa mga dati. Pero ngayon, so mostly face mask na yung gamit natin. And because of this pandemic. Handling food while ill, alright? That's also correct. So if you are sick, you are not allowed to handle food because you can contaminate the food also. Dapat maghugas ng kamay after po gumamit ng CR. Yan. Some part of our discussion, we will also discuss when to wash our hands when we are preparing food. Okay, bigyan na natin. So that's one na sinabi, yung when you are touching body parts, nangati ka sa ulo, nangati ilong mo, nangati tenga mo, tapos gahawa ka ng pagkain, that's one. So after touching your body parts, kahit saan, regardless, okay, you have to wash your hands, okay? And when you came from the comfort room, o nag-CR ka, okay, regardless kung ano ginawa mo sa CR, kailangan mag-hugas ka. Smoking, that's also one. Number 2, time temperature abuse. Kailan nagkakaroon ng time temperature abuse? At nagiging cause siya ng foodborne illness. How time and temperature abuse cause foodborne illness? Yeah, that's a question. Kapag malamig na sir yung food, nagkakaroon na ng bacteria. Okay, that's correct, pero mas i-correct pa natin yan, Mr. Pinonya.
Ako, sir.
Like example, yung temperature pag storage ng food. Okay, that's correct. Yes, Mr. Hernandez.
Yung when cooking po, pag di po na yung certain temperature,
And
hindi napapatay lahat ng microorganisms po.
Okay, that's correct. Let's start with the food preparation of the food. Kapag po yung pagkain natin, hindi natin in-store ng maayos. For example, karne, okay, meat, chicken, fish, pork, or beef. Okay? Kapag sa tingin nyo, alin na mas magtatagal na karne? Yung nasa room temperature or yung nasa fridge or yung nasa freezer? Mas magtatagal. Nasa freezer, nasa fridge po. Okay? Okay, so pinaka mas magtatagal kapag nasa freezer siya. Okay? Kasi mas mapapabagal ng freezer ang pagdami ng microorganism. Pag nasa fridge, mas mapoprolong niya yung freshness ng food or ng meat. Kapag nasa room temperature, mas mabilis siyang masisira. Okay, kasi wala siyang, naka-expose siya sa air, sa microorganism, at mas mabilis dadami ang microorganism in that specific food. And so, lahat ng pagkain natin, if not all, may presence ng microorganism dyan. Now, if we will store it, if we will abuse its time and temperature, maaga siyang masisira. So, kapag nasa room temperature siya, mas mabilis dadami ang bacteria, mas mabilis masisira. Kapag nasa fridge or nasa chiller, okay, nasa refrigerator, mas mapaprolong natin yung freshness. Pag nilagay naman natin siya sa freezer, mas mapapabagal natin. If not, mamamatay yung mga bacteria present doon sa food na yon. Okay, so, and cross-contamination, tama din yung sinabi ni si Miss Irish. Okay, sinabi niya cross-contamination is the transfer of microorganism from one place or one to another. And best example dyan is the transfer of microorganism or contamination of food from ready-to-eat food and raw food. Yung raw food, maraming bacteria yan. Okay, present ang maraming bacteria dyan. And it shouldn't be na pagtatabihin mo ang raw food to ready-to-eat food. So, yeah, ito na, nabanggit na niya kanina ng reporter, ang common symptoms like of foodborne illness and diseases like nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps, abdominal cramps, dizziness, and diarrhea. Alright? Okay, so kanina, nabanggit natin yung 4 highly susceptible population natin. So, this group are, number 1, well, kanina yung young children or yung nauna natin. Okay? The pregnant women, young children, the older adults, and people with immune system weakened from medical conditions such as diabetes, liver disease, kidney disease, HIV, and AIDS. Or shortly, we can say people with impaired immune system. Yun na lang, para mas madali niyang tandaan. So again, the highly susceptible population, for sure, very familiar kayo dyan kasi these people also are the people that are yung mga may highly constrained or hindi madalas binabanggit during COVID or during pandemic na hindi sila pwedeng lumabas, diba? Yung mga bata, yung mga matatanda, yung mga buntis, at yung may mga pre-existing condition. Okay? So, for our topic, for the sake of our discussion, these four highly susceptible population. Okay, we will call these 4 categories or groups as highly susceptible population. Number 1, pregnant women. Number 2, young children. Number 3, older adults. And number 4, people with impaired immune system. All right. So, Ms. Baldeo, please proceed. Okay, Ms. Abule.
Location. Food service eating facilities, school, canteens, restaurants, hotel. So meron siyang 24 occurrence and 4,946 cases and 31 mortalities. Next is household, single and multiple household involvement, community gathering, fiestas, birthday celebration. So 102 occurrence and 4,972 cases and 63 mortalities. And others, office, public gathering, orphanage facility, jail, and 33 occurrence, 3,673 cases. And
Okay, sige.
human
For
mortality.
this table, okay, pinakikita lang dito yung occurrence cases and mortality. So, this is more of the statistic study na ng mga outbreaks dito sa Philippines. Okay? So, kinategorize nila yan sa three locations: food service, eating facility, household, and others. Miss Abule?
Next slide po. Further, in the 13,577 morbidity cases recorded in the 209 documented outbreaks that occurred in the past 13 years, Table 3.2, 87.97% or 11,956 cases have no identified causative agents. The Table 3.2 ranking of causative agents of foodborne poisoning in the Philippines based on the recorded cases from 2005 to June 2018 and equal to 13,591 out of 209 outbreaks. So in microbiological food poisoning, so first is unknown. So ito nga yung cases have no identified causative agent with 11,956 cases at 87.97%. So next is Salmonella spp. So commonly cause mo nito is foodborne illness na makukuha natin by consuming contaminated food product. So yung mga hilaw na pagkain like meat, beef, eggs, and pwede rin sa fruits and vegetable. At pwede mo rin itong makuha by handling pets, particularly of some birds and reptiles po. Meron siyang 335 cases and 2.46%. So Salmonella enteriditis, infection cause po nito ay eating raw or undercooked meat, poultry, eggs, or egg products. So, meron siyang symptoms na high fever. So, cases is 112 and 0.82%. So, Henipavirus, infection caused by severe illness of human and horses. So, meron po siyang dalawang types. Ito yung HEV. Meaning nito is Hendra virus. Transmitted po siya through direct contact with infected horse or body fluids. So, NIV naman is Nipah virus. Infection is a zoonotic disease that is transmitted from the natural host, fruit bats, and human either directly. So, meron naman siyang 102 cases with 0.75%. So, Entamoeba histolytica, infection caused by parasite na pumapasok sa katawan ng tao through food po. And yung infection is common po is unclean and crowded areas. So meron naman siyang 95 cases with 0.70%. Next is Escherichia coli or short is E. coli. So the most common way to get E. coli infection is by eating contaminated food such as mga ground beef or unpasteurized milk at pwede din sa contaminated na tubig. So meron naman siyang 11 cases and 0.08%. So chemical toxin food poisoning. First is staphylococcal enterotoxin. So staphylococcal food poisoning is an intoxication that results from the consumption of food containing sufficient amount of one or more performed enterotoxin. Include po dito yung mga meat, poultry, egg products, and milk, at yung mga bakery at dairy products. So meron naman siyang 169 cases with 1.24%. So next is paralytic shellfish poisoning. So ito naman ay pinaka-common and serious form of poison. After mo makakain ng contaminated na bivalve mollusk, so ito yung may dalawang shell. Example nito is yung mga clams, oysters, and scallop. Pati na rin yung Dungeness crabs, lobster, at iba pa. So na may containing na saxitoxin. Meron naman siyang 155 cases with 1.14%. So carbamates, ito naman yung insecticide spray na kapag na-expose tayo or yung food, is may masamang epekto sa katawan natin. Meron siyang 130 cases with 0.96%. Next is Dioscorine. It is food poisoning from yam, especially po sa ibang parte ng Africa. Meron naman siyang 95 cases with 0.70%. Tetrodotoxin, ito din naman yung poison na kadalasan makikita sa liver or sex organ of some fish like example pufferfish, globefish, and etc. Meron naman siyang 93 cases and 0.68%. So, oxalic acid is a poisonous. It is chemical known as caustic. It is contact tissue can cause the severe damage like burning or ulcer. So, meron naman siyang 47 cases with 0.35%. Next is toxalbumine curcin. So, ito yung klaseng uri ng plant na nakakalason na nagproproduce ng severe cytotoxin and effect nito sa multiple organ system. So, meron siyang 41 cases and 0.30%. Next is cicotoxin. It is fish poisoning is an illness caused by eating fish that contain toxin. So, mahirap po siyang ma-identify kung contaminated ba yun ng toxin yung isda kasi hindi siya nagbabago ng appearance, taste, and smell. So, meron naman siyang 40 cases and 0.29%. Nitrate. So, yung nitrate is ginagamit po natin siya for fertilizer or paggawa ng bala or pampasabog na kagamitan. So, meron naman siyang 18 cases with 0.13%. So, total cases, 13,591 and 100%. Next slide po. The importance of food safety sanitation implementation in any food enterprise cannot be denied at it encompasses the following dimension. So napakahalaga nga po na magkaroon tayo ng food safety and sanitation para makaiwas sa mga posibleng disease na pwede magkaroon tayo. So first is ethics. As a primary goal of food safety and sanitation is to protect human lives and public health. So isa nga po sa pinaka-goal nila is yung mapangalagaan ang buhay ng maraming tao, lalong na po sa pagkain. Legal, as required by law, food enterprise need to comply with applicable law and regulation. So kinakailangan po ng mga business or small owner na sumunod sa pagkakaroon ng safety and sanitation, especially na po sa food para sa safety ng mga customer. So economics, aside from possible loss of lives, food enterprise can be affected through customer loss and insurance premiums among others. So example ko po dito is yung milk tea po way back 2013. So yung milk tea po na na-serve ay contaminated po siya ng E. coli and salmonella. At hindi po alam ng owner at sinerve po ito sa 50 customer. Then yung 50 customer po ay nakaranas po sila ng pananakit ng tiyan. Tapos yung isa po doon ay namatay. So malaking ang naging epekto nito sa owner, hindi lang po pati sa kanya, pati na po sa ibang branch ng milk tea. Kasi isipin na po ng tao na posibleng mangyari din ito sa kanila. Kaya po medyo humina yung milk tea noon. So ngayon po is unti-unti na po ulit itong nagbo-boom. Yun lang po.